Hey, how's it going? Whoopsie. Now everybody's seasick. Sorry about that. Okay. Oh, jeez. Yes, I cannot stand things in the frame that I do not want in the frame. Hi. Please look at my signs before I get started. So, I'm just going to tell you it's a long one. It's going to be a long one. First of all, I wanted to do a video yesterday because oh jeez, look at this thing. I kind of have a loose schedule I like to stick to. God, what happened to clothes? I used to be able to just throw on layers and they just go on, and now all the fabrics stick together really bad. Like, to such a degree that, okay, that's a little better. Anyway, so I wanted to do a video yesterday, and then I didn't because I don't like to come on here when my mood's all crazy. Overnight has gone by, and my mood is still crazy, so that's kind of what I want to talk about, is that the way things are in the United States right now, they seem crazy. They're not, well, forget what you're used to, pretty much is the deal. And so, I, understand what's happening, and I'm sure everyone does, but I think I'm seeing it from a different perspective than, the most of us that are sort of not paying attention to, the subtler things that are blended right in with the whole big loud stuff that everyone gets obsessed with or upset by and are paying attention to. Layers, there's lots of layers to things. I think there's a lot more than the superficial surface stuff that the news will talk about. And they won't even talk about, everything about what they're talking about. They leave things out, and it gives you a certain impression that it's not necessarily what the actual case is. So, there was just a big, I guess, everyone is bigger than the last one of CMEs, coronal mass ejections from the sun or solar flares. Or I don't know, there's a lot of stuff coming out of the sun, and it's, knocking a lot of us flat, emotionally, physically, and it's not the only thing. There are a number of ways that we are being, I'm sorry, the word assaulted came to mind. I was going for something less victim-y. But, I mean, in the clinical sense of the word, we are getting hit by lots of incoming rays. Okay, so there's that. And then, there's a lot of, I think, I don't even know if it's anxiety. I think it's a thing that's so new for everyone right now that it might require a new title other than anxiety, but the unease, the dis-ease. Oh, not disease, but it is kind of sickening what's happening in the way that when you're fighting illness and you don't want to be sick because it's going to interfere with your whole life, oh my God, am I going to be able to go to work? And then that thought alone could just unleash a whole wave of worry. So a lot of the tumult we're feeling can be, the start of it can be right in here. We could be doing it to ourselves because we're in a period of unfamiliarity, and it's so unfamiliar that we don't even know how to act, kind of. Yeah, so I, on the other hand, I'm definitely not just cognizant of this stuff, but I also am feeling it a lot, and it affects my mood, and it affects me, I'm sure, in other ways, but since I'm always just here by myself, I don't know what the heck's going on. So, but I have to assume that things are happening to me that I'm not really clocking in myself. So, what I do clock, though, is that I was feeling, like I said, unsettled, and also I just have had like this sort of underground or just below the sub rosa, just below the surface, like anger, like almost ready to happen. And then the reason why it's been held back is because the thing that is making me angry and angrier every day, because it just becomes harder and harder to accept. I'm gonna get it out. I'm gonna tell you what it is. So, maybe if you watch my videos, that I follow the advice of and watch pretty closely the Galactic Federation of Light channel. Galactic Federation, GFL Station is the name of the channel, but GFL stands for Galactic Federation of Light, which is, I would have said ETs, but I just learned that they really don't care for that particular nomiker, so I'm going to go with visitors. And they've been visiting longer than the lifetime of anybody alive right now, and then like probably several generations back. Like, they've just been here since the planet's beginning, even before there were beings on it, like the planet itself is the being. That's getting into some of those layers, but let's stick to the one I was talking about. So there's a whole thing that they talk about, and it's not so easy to just like jump in the middle and start trying to explain it. But what I said is, ETs, mainly beings from the Pleiades constellation, have been here guiding the growth of, gosh darn it, I'll be right back. Okay, what I was trying to get out before I was interrupted is that I believe in their message, the Pleiadians, who are basically the shepherds for this world and its creatures, us, and everything else. And even if you don't think of it as like anything but an inanimate object, it also has a place and its own energy and a vibration. It may be on a different scale of evolution than we are, but it still is part of the everything here. That's like everything. The air, the water, everything. Everything in our existence. They have had a hand in watching over the creation and development and evolvement of. So that is something that I don't think a lot of people would just accept. But I have reasons why it's acceptable to me. Why it resonates with me is because a lot of times the concepts that they're talking about are not foreign to my own thinking. And, there's a, I guess, religious component or an atheist component, whatever. But I believe that there is an intelligent mechanism of creation of everything. And that's enough for me. Like, whatever there is in between, none of it wasn't created by the universal entity. Okay, so that, it on one hand makes a lot of what they're saying easy to accept. Here's the thing that I have the problem with, though, is that Trump is their guy, and I cannot stand what he's doing right now to the rest of the country with his personality of hatred and cruelty. And he just is not truthful, and that probably drives me the most crazy, because he'll say something that is not true, and people will call him on it, and then the people that love him and follow him just, like, are able to go, that doesn't matter. Like, I don't even know if they even look at what's being said, or how they are able to tune out whole swaths of reality that they are also in at the same time as you. And, like, at that shooting of the good woman that everyone has been talking about so much, there were people there on the scene that were like, oh my God, that was the worst thing I ever saw. And also other people that were like, yeah, that was righteous and justified. And it's like, how? You took a life. Hello? No. But on the third hand, for God's sake, it's part of the plan. Everybody already agreed on all of this stuff that's making us all angry and sad and happy, and I don't even know. I think there's emotions happening we don't have names for yet. But I just am having such a hard time with it. Like, it's always in the back of my mind that, like, he's their guy. All the stuff he's doing ultimately is part of the plan. And I don't know that everyone understands the plan, because they still worship that guy. And even no matter what he's doing, Christians, you make me so tired. National Christians, I mean. Not people that are of Christ principles and have the gnosis. Like, but, I mean, that's kind of the way it is. So here's an example. Like, somebody, like, what is the word? Somebody from, like, someone like Michelangelo, okay, who was a great artist and came up with a lot of concepts that ended up getting, like, developed later, and fantastic artist, really understood the workings of the body. And then I guess he was like a Mason too. I don't know, I heard that somewhere. But I guess, like, secret societies were just running around like crazy then or something. But he is somebody that we might look back on, or like in his own time, sorry. He probably was somebody that people were afraid of, because his ideas were more expansive than their minds could handle. Like, I think, I don't know this for sure, but I feel like there was some, like, grave robbery so that he could learn how the body worked in order to portray it so faithfully. And I don't know if people knew that or intuited it or what, but it, like, some people saw the beauty in it and weren't afraid of it, and some people saw the accuracy in it, and it freaked them to freak out, I think, because I know that he had problems with authorities. So anyone that, like, exceeds the bounds of normality or just regular, everybody the same, always runs into problems with the authorities. Like, stop making people think out of the boundaries of what is allowed. Like, stop doing that. But then those people can't stop doing it. It's why they're here. So that is way back, a medieval thing. Like 2 years later, medieval times. I don't even know if that is the right era. Probably not. I am not a historian. I cherry pick that stuff. But anyway, I almost feel like that's what's happening with me, and it's not just the president, it's like the whole administration and everybody that's just all going along with it, no matter what it looks like and what it's doing, like in the present, because that takes a certain level of projection of where you see yourself in 5 years in that kind of way. And but then that is like it. Like, they can't project the idea that this body that is very much similar to the one you have, except for minor differences, regional accent, perhaps hair texture, skin color. But no, you're totally different, and you're the thing that I hate the most that I have to eliminate. That's crazy. That's crazy. You accept different breeds of dogs and different strains of coffee, fabrics, sauces, all kinds of diversity everywhere but in other people. That kind of breaks my brain. Even the whole, everyone's developing at a different stage, everyone's on a different page. I can't, even that's hard to accept, because I was also a young person, a person that didn't know a lot, had yet to be educated. But I understood, it doesn't matter how different you look, you're still just like me. Even if you're male and I'm female. So you're like the other plug, so to speak. Still, we wouldn't work together if we didn't go together. Like, if we weren't, if we didn't match, it wouldn't work. I don't know. So, we all have our things that are hard for us to get over, hard to take, and mine is the current administration being the savior. And so, what's really hard to understand, the videos help from the Galactic Federation GFL station. They help, but they also infuriate me, because the man that we see, the people that don't know anything about GFL, or, visitors from other worlds and what they are doing here, generally, people, sort of, the propaganda has worked on them, and so they're expecting, a fight, and the last thing these Sky Nations want is a fight with us. They want us to stop fighting with each other. That's kind of the whole goal, the end goal. But in between those two kind of pure things is all that's propaganda and fakery and other efferees. So, I'm not feeling so brave today for some reason. But you know what I mean. So, it's even while my impulse is to disagree with all of this, overall I agree. So, other things that are happening that are terrible, like mass people crossing over, that intellectually, yes, it's bad, and yes, it's sad, and all these people are left behind to deal with what happened. But when those situations happen, it's a lot easier for me to take them academically and, in alignment with, the pre-birth contract, where everyone is already, your course is pretty much set. It can change in a lot of cases. Some things need to not change so that it works for other things that are sort of beyond your own purview, that you don't, you just have to trust on that. That's that trust the plan thing, but it's you don't have a choice. It's all gonna go that way anyway. Whatever you're momentarily feeling, my anger, to be honest, I'm mad at the visitors for making me have to accept this horrible person and what he does, and what he could do to me personally, if they got around to it. I don't know. I am hoping that I would be protected from that. I'm asking, please protect me from, bad things, which I think is another thing you can just sort of assume anyway, because you have spiritual invisible help. So many things I talk about, I feel like require all of this explanation, and I am not the one to give it to you. Not if you want it, like, clear and straight. But anyway, so, thanks. That is what has been under my saddle, and it is still there because, I do trust them, the visitors, and what they're saying. It rings true for me, and that is why, even though I'm, like, really mad at them for making us all have to, like, have this terrible person be the one that's gonna open our eyes to wonders, which is what all of the invading of countries is about. Like, whatever they're saying on the news or in pressers or whatever, they're not saying, well, he is not known for telling the truth. It drives me crazy. And there's, I guess, reasons to, hold back information from us. But at the same time, the visitors have this whole year's worth of videos catalog, actually, talking about what is happening and why. So, I have to think that the reason why I can't just, like, let it go over the past couple of days is because there are things happening that I am not aware of, and, like, I haven't, like, heard about it. I'm sure there's lots happening that I'm not understanding myself that are sort of autonomous sort of activities in our bodies, but I'm supposed to, like, keep it together, knowing all of this. I understand, like, it's not good for me to get inflamed, because, like, once yes, you have to go through your processes, but you kind of have to go through them and get on over it so that you're not, like, exciting and inflaming everybody else, in addition to what's already got them all hot and bothered in not, the best way, if that makes sense. So I had pulled some cards 2 days ago, but I was so, like, crazy with anger. Everything was setting me off. It was not good. So I first pulled a body oracle card, and I got the mesentery, which I guess is like your intestinal, your digestive guts. There's a picture of it. So these cards show body parts to express what they're oracleizing. And so there's, like, some guts, just sort of disarticulated from the rest of the body, but looks like upper intestine, lower intestine, and I don't know, maybe that's a liver or something. I don't know, that looks like a handle on the cabinet, so I don't know what that is, but anyway, it's a body part, is the point. And it's the gut, like your sensing organ, kind of, and the subtitle is Intuition, and it says, trust that you know what you know. Okay, I will try to trust the plan, and it's not, like, there has to be cohesion amongst us, amongst we that are aware of what's going on and why, whether we can accept it or not. So I also pulled some Mary Magdalene, the Declarations of Mary Magdalene cards, I was looking to calm myself down, and I don't know how well it worked, because here's the first one. Our right to love one another in the essence of the Trinity is of pure form when thy heart knows the truth of thy creation's sacred holy vow to one another in love's highest light. So, Here's my problem with the person and their cohort that I was saying I had problems with. What is right is, and what is Christ-like, is for me to find a way to love this guy and what he's doing, as I would love someone that I just want to love. And when we're able to, I think, both understand and achieve that, we are in alignment with that love and what that love is supposed to do for us and allow us to do. We have egos and other things that get in the way, and in ignorance, I think, is a lot of it. So I don't think of these as religious cards. These are informational to me because they're not talking about what we call church and religion, Mary or Christ even. In fact, they're not talking about it what it was then either, when they were around in the time that we know them from, or we think we know them from. So anyway, I think that is part of what our mission is here, is to be able to know these things and still be able to find our way to loving those people regardless of what they're doing, even if it's really horrible, and to other ones of us. And also them, by the way. They're not like creatures from another planet. They're us. We're doing these things to each other by prior consent, by the way, which is also like another thing to just tuck in there. Just fold it over and tuck in there, because it just keeps recurring, and you just have to, I just have to keep making it right. But if you achieve that, you are keeping your sacred vow to one another in love's highest light. And that it is admirable. Like, if you can love people that do really terrible things in spite of that, then good on you. Good on you. So the other card said, so this one was the, oh my God, it's the number 3. It was talking about the Trinity, which is a word of saying 3 things. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Those 3 things. Of course, it has to be all masculine from, well, it doesn't have to be, because it's, I think things are more androgynous on the other side of the veil. Pin that. So, the other card is the number 9, or it's 36 actually. So it adds to 9. Also, this was the 12, which adds up to 3 if you add them together. So 36, 9. That is a number of almost of completion. I know a 10 comes after that, but that's basically like celebration and kind of changing your mindset for the next cycle or something. So anyway, this card says, "For thou shalt not judge another, for thee are only condemning thyself." So, I mean, that is why I feel like I need to reconcile my feelings about the people and persons that I have previously mentioned. And so I feel like I'm on a network where you're only allowed to say the F word a few times, but I'm the censor. I don't know, it just seems wise not to overuse the privilege right now. So I did pull some, what are these? Starseed Oracle cards. And I was just curious to see what would come out when I was in such a fucked up mood, which is lingering, but it's getting better. It's always like better to talk things out, I find. So, oh wait, wrong direction. Okay, so the first one is you know, this could be really helpful. The card is, I'm going to show it to you. Loosen your grip. So, I mean, those two people look very similar, but that kind of goes along with what I was saying about us pretty much being all the same. And like on the other side of the veil, like, it's pretty androgynous, I guess. There's definitely a hetero thing, I guess, but there's all these other things. And by the way, I said something not too long ago on Blue Sky about how we were... I just noticed that all of these things are blowing up. These blisters, these social blisters are blowing up everywhere. And they're all sort of like old energy that's trying to come back. And it would be completely understandable to think that they were coming back to like get us and trap us again. But I think what's happening is that number 9 situation where we're just kind of like pushing through the end of what all of generations of building things, like putting the civil rights, like everything that had to get gone through to make the Civil Rights Act happen, which is not exclusively for black people, contrary to popular belief. It is for all people that are discriminated against for race or physical or, you know, like even like your sexuality is judged. So that was just sort of dismantled piece by piece, and finally they just like got rid of it, you know. But not really, because what they are doing in the government right now is unsanctioned and completely outside of like the rules that they're supposed to use, like laws and constitutional law. And it doesn't just like make itself happen. That's why we have elected representatives there, and they're definitely not doing what they're supposed to be doing in the case of what's happening right now. Oh, excuse me. And it makes me wonder, are they all in on it? Like, I from what I feel like, Trump is afraid of visitors from another planet. Also hard to like resolve that he's like in cahoots with them, basically. So sorry, sidetrack. So loosen your grip, and the subtitle on here is Coping Mechanisms, Density, Addiction, Let God In. Okay, now maybe it might be getting a little religious-y. It's interesting, let God in. We don't have to really look outside anywhere to find God. God being that universal intelligence that I was talking about, that creation mechanism. Well, I'm not like saying that's all that is. That universal intelligence. It's not any one thing. It is so many things. It's everything that's here. It's every one of us. And that is the light that we look for, we should look for in each other, even when it's hard to look at people and see and understand that regardless of what the outside is doing, that light is still there, and it's working on a prior commitment, perhaps, or absolutely, because we all are here doing some particular thing to make the whole thing work. And seeing how it all works is kind of beyond all of our abilities to sense or see, I think, or something, you know, beyond the abstract. So, loosen your grip. I would say, despite what I just said, I would say loosen your grip on worshiping this other guy that's, you know, maybe you approve of what he's doing and you think, like, trust the plan and it's all going to work out. Thing about this is, like, for years I thought that one day MAGA and Republicans or whoever is, like, following the guy are going to wake up and go, oh, this is a bad idea. I made a mistake. And And that does seem to be happening, but boy, did I think it was going to happen sooner. Like, I really thought, more of us, but those are the people that will hang on to the terrible things he's doing and call it Christian nationalism and call it good and call it God, even call him God. And it's like, well, you're violating all kinds of things in the Bible that you're so, like, I don't know, always telling people to go look at. Maybe look at it yourself. So anyway, here, this is why it's going to take long, is because I want to read what these cards are talking about. So loosen your grip. Let's see what the book says about it. Loosen your grip. So remember, at the bottom it said, coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. So the addiction, I think they may be talking about, is all of those layers of propaganda that we decide we like and just get right behind. And I don't know how closely we're examining the front of those wagons we're hitching ourselves to. And by that I mean, where are we headed? What is your plan? Like, don't just, I feel like, blindly follow without finding out if that's really where you want to be going, but that's just me. Okay, here's what it says. We're cyclic beings, and Mother Earth teaches us how to be human every day with the coming and going of the tides and the seasons. If you're clinging, sorry about that, if you're clinging to anything, you're resisting the natural flow of who you are. That's why I'm like, don't latch onto this guy and worship him, because if you're gonna worship anything, worship creation, because that has no toxins or taints. If you're clinging to anything, you're resisting the natural flow of who you are. The things we cling to are so often those we most need to let go of. The food, the substances, the relationship, the job, the people-pleasing. God, what if you have multiple of those? The things we cling to often cover up our most what if. Probably most of us have multiple of those. Multiple layers that we need to swim through or dig through or climb up out of. I don't know, I think we're supposed to experience the layers, but I don't think we're supposed to live in them. The things we cling to often cover up our most vulnerable space, the part we're most afraid to leave empty, the part we guard and don't let grace into. But by keeping that space covered with something, it doesn't serve us, or clinging to it for fear of it not staying of its own accord, we prevent ourselves from receiving the things that will. A Course of Miracles tells us, that seems to be a reference to maybe a book or something. I'm going to look it up. You could too, A Course of Miracles. Oh, you know what? I have a pause. I could just look it up. Hold on. I'll be right back. Okay, I have it here. A Course in Miracles. Is that the same thing they said? Why do you have to make me like this? Where is it? Where is it? Yep, A Course in Miracles. And then my phone went dark again. Open up. Okay, A Course in Miracles is a self-study spiritual program, a mind-training curriculum channeled by psychologist Helen Schucman in the late 1960s, designed to help individuals achieve inner peace and remember their oneness with God, the universal intelligence, through a radical shift in perception, focusing on forgiveness to undo guilt and see the world as loving rather than fearful. Well, that is pretty much the visitor's jam, so I'm not, okay, alright, I'm going to go back to what else the book says about the card, but let me just get out of there. Okay. Open. But by keeping that space covered with something that doesn't serve us or clinging to it, remember this is loosen your grip, clinging to it for fear of it not staying of its own accord, we prevent ourselves from receiving the things that will. A Course in Miracles tells us, whatever we leave empty, grace will fill. That's why you gotta let stuff go, because it's taking up space that you need to put something of better use in. And the Buddha said, you can only lose what you cling to. Indeed, both are true. And you know what else? You can't really miss what you never had. That's mine. Okay. If this card appears, you're being called to find the courage to loosen your grip and give up control. To release your coping mechanisms and leave space for grace and for God to enter. To surrender all that feels dense to the divine. I would call that as the inability to think straight. When you are when you feel dense to the divine. I feel like that's like something between you and it. Loosening your grip doesn't mean what you're clinging to will go away. It may, or it may stay. But you can be sure that what is for you will find you, and you'll breathe easier knowing that you shifted from relying on your own strength to surrendering to the grace of life. Starseed Soul Inquiry. What are you clinging to for fear of nothing coming to take its place? Well, here's the thing, and maybe this is why I'm angry, is because I guess what I'm clinging to is the idea of decency and honesty. And our guy, I don't feel like really has those. And I don't think that in the 40-some years I've been aware of him, he's been able to, like, maintain a facade of, I'm a dumb guy, but behind everything, I'm really super smart and like a superhero. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm clinging to that belief because that is what my eyes have shown me. That is my lived experience. I'm not doing good at loosening my grip. But, I mean, like I said, I could just be wrong. But what I thought that the megas were going to wake up to was like, yeah, like all of the racism and like the LGBTQ plus hate is wrong. Somehow, like everything that guy is doing and has got his people doing and believing feels so wrong to me and so many other people. But I guess we're wrong. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. The future's unwritten as far as I know. There's potentials, but I don't know how to see the potential in a space where the potentials are as yet to be established. Oh my God. I don't know what this means, but the next card is, I'm sorry. Is this I'm sorry I got it wrong, or I'm sorry I did all that stuff to further an end? And look how similar the beings are that are apologizing to each other. We've been hitting ourselves. We gotta stop hitting ourselves. So, okay, let me just go right to the manual and see what the I'm sorry card is about. It would help if it was right way up. Okay. And you're on page... Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. The subtitles on this card are defenselessness, righting past wrongs, uprooting. Okay, before I even start reading, I want to say that I think I started to say it, and it was about my remarking that it sure seems like all of our past unresolved mess is coming back to the surface for confrontation and resolution. I don't know if I specifically said it in those words, but I think I got that general point across. And then yesterday, or the day before, I noticed that there was Black Panthers reconstituted and active in Philly, which is interesting because pretty gnarly stuff with black people always seems to happen in Philly for some reason, like the move terribleness. So, a poster, Tennessee Holler actually posted a confrontation between ICE and the Black Panthers. And the Black Panthers were like, look, yeah, we have guns, and we have them out. We have the permits and the licenses, and it's totally legal. And they were like quoting penal code, or not penal code, but statutory code at the ICE agents, and I think that they're not like at all educated in that from all of the reporting. Educating themselves is not really a thing, not one of their pastimes. So and they backed down, but I did also see someone else talking about them returning, Susan Lewis, a psychic, and she said that like they scared the crap out of people. And yesterday I said I did say that it seemed like a bunch of our stuff was coming back up for us to resolve, and these guys scare the pants off of the people that want to be the people that scare the pants off people, and they don't want. This is something that has recurred over like most of this country's history. Too many black people and really any people get together and start to group up and have ideas. All of a sudden the Fed law enforcement agencies find you under suspicion, like you're already doing something wrong, is the way they seem to view it. And so they can't be happy the Black Panthers are back, because they just made them their enemies, when really all those people were doing was trying to fill gaps in like the social safety net that were not being filled, probably because of the community that they are. And they, made it possible for there to be like meals for kids whose families weren't able to like afford enough meals for the kids, like school meals or like after school, like whatever. They helped provide nutrition where it was lacking in the community. And then they also helped provide safety from inside and out, I'm sure. Like I don't think they were just all, we're going to protect you from like, sorry to use this term, but this is what came to mind. We're going to protect you from whitey. And I'm thinking back in the 60s. I'm not talking about the new version. But they did need protection from whitey, because they were like gathering together and or organizing basically, and it didn't seem to matter what their motivation was. They were not going out and like starting things with people. They were like trying to protect their home area. And that has not worked out well in the past. Let me put it this way. Again, look up Move in Philly, just like it sounds, MOVE in Philly, and be horrified if you don't know, because that was really messed up. Don't ever forget that reporting is always going to do whatever it can to make the authority look good, and then, if it's not the case in whatever the particular situation is, if and when it comes out later, then it's I feel like when too much time has passed and everyone's minds are already accepted what's happened, it's hard for people to work in the new information that happens to be the correct thing that wasn't properly reported in the first place. But anyway, getting all kinds of sidetracked. So, I'm sorry. And the subtitles on here are Defenselessness, Writing Past Wrongs, Uprooting. So what are we uprooting? Are we uprooting old stuff that's taking over the garden and choking out growth? Or are we uprooting Black Panthers that are just trying to fill in gaps in society? And if they seem angry, probably they are. Black people have seen a lot of us get killed for what looks like nothing to us, and even when we're trying to adhere to the rules, but now everyone else is getting to see it happen too. Everybody that's trying to go to their immigration appointments and do it the right way, which was clamored for forever, that's now not good enough, and it doesn't even matter anymore, because I just heard yesterday that one city just closed their immigration centers because they didn't want ICE to, their court, I guess, and they didn't want ICE coming in and snatching every person that was doing the right thing. And rules and laws that we've had forever, they're just ignoring them, and for some reason our representatives in Congress are letting it happen. And I say for some reason because there's things you could obviously assume, but it's beyond bribery. It's beyond being the avatar for some corporation. You're there, you better nut up and do right, or you're out. You're not going to get elected again. You're probably not going to be able to get a good job after if things go the way I hope, evidently the wrong way, where the stuff that I think is right, where you don't just hate and kill people because you don't like them. Anyway, moving on. This is what the book says about I'm sorry. We're living in divisive times. When we are hurt and triggered, we tend to see things as a personal attack rather than an opportunity for healing. If we're to find true peace and unity, we need to drop our defenses and see things outside of right and wrong. As souls, we intrinsically remember unity and yearn for it here on earth. Perhaps this is why it feels so painful when we experience the opposite. But it's crucial to remember that we can't simply bypass reality and pretend that unity, love, and forgiveness are here. That's true. Can't get past that either. But it's not entirely true. There are some of us that are not that way. Anyway, back to the book. This is one of the greatest challenges for starseeds, that we can't align reality with what we know is the truth of us, not just how we should be. I feel like that's kind of trite, because we are here playing roles, basically. And so from that, you should imply that this is not really me. This is an act I'm doing right now, or performing. So, okay. To bring about unity, we must first acknowledge the ways in which both we and the world have been divisive, personally, ancestrally, and collectively. The shadows, hate, wounds, separation, severing, wrongs, and sadness. Going back to those unresolved past wounds, like the interactions that the Black Panthers had with law enforcement, wherever they were, because they were not just on the West Coast. I believe that there were branches all over. At least I hope there were. There should be, because we are. Why am I smelling exhaust? I'm in the house. Okay, that's weird. Oh, man. What the... That was like I huffed the back of a car with a tailpipe. Oh my god. I'm nowhere near where a car... Like... Okay. Anyway. To bring about unity, we must first acknowledge the ways in which both we and the world have been divisive, personally, ancestrally, and collectively. The shadows, hate, wounds, separation, severing, wrongs, and sadness. You may be called to explore how you, your ancestors, or your society have, consciously or unconsciously, inflicted pain on others. To find a way to drop the armor around your heart and see things as they truly are for all people. To say, I'm sorry, with an open heart and mean it. To be part of the healing rather than the perpetuation of inherited conflict or oppression. Which I'm totally against. Like, that's not relevant anymore, a lot of it. Like, find out what is, work with that, and move on. Can we, please? Sorry, I don't think that was me talking there. Hold on. This isn't about blame. It's about unwinding the patterning that got us here. You may be called to devote your time to causes you believe in, to do healing work on your ancestral line. That is heavy. That is so right on to what I was talking about. That is making my body throb on the inside, like I feel it along where my nervous system is, and it's just like bong, bong, and it's not my heartbeat, because that's doing something else at a different speed. It's like, yes, resonance, yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, so, Starseed Soul Inquiry. How are you being called to drop your defenses and unwind past wrongs? I'm still working on it. Past wrongs have relevance today. The way that we're experiencing them. Okay, like they're coming back for attention that was they were neglected in the past. Okay, so this card is Weight of the World. So, that's, I don't know what she's floating in. Some type of sea during some kind of strange night, because if you look at that sky, there are points of light that I would call stars here and there. There's like a little constellation, like a sun and whatever else those constellations have in them. So, Weight of the World. Let's consult the manual. No, careful. I feel like I should have some music for these moments where not much is happening. But I don't want to get into any licensing problems. Oh, God. What page was it? Here it is. So here's the subtitles that are on the card. Boundaries, let it go. Man, Oh, okay. I know that I have to let what's bugging me go. Do you also have some things that are acting like anchors that you're not aware have dropped it, or you're just dragging against them? Okay. Let it go. It's not yours to carry. Okay, so how does that work when there's stuff in the world going on that you're aware of and you could possibly help with in some way? I guess it alleviates some weight if you help. Even though your help, you might not be able to see the effect of it. Everything we do has some level of efficacy. Like, in a way, somehow, somewhere, it's helping, even if it doesn't seem like it to us. You don't need to carry it all. You're no good to you're no good to anyone if you're running on empty and bogged down by the weight of the world. You can't do everything. This card is a reminder to look after your own well-being before anyone else's. Breathe from the oxygen mask before you give it to the child. As difficult as that is to think is the right way, it's the right way because you're going to know what to do more than the child probably, or just have the physical ability. You have to, like, sustain yourself first in order to save the little one or the vulnerable one. I should have just shut up. To stop carrying the world's problem on your shoulders. To put on your own oxygen mask first. I promise you I did not see that. This is a deck I got new in December. Anyway, yeah, first time I've pulled this card. In these changing times, it's hard not to feel overwhelmed by the state of the planet. Boy, howdy. However, you can't take on its problems from a place of energetic depletion. I know. That is why I spent most of yesterday not on social media. I couldn't. It was just all too much. But it was. Excuse me. Here we go. The card is thanking you for caring so much. You want to build a better world and ease the road for others, and that's incredible. But the way you've been doing it is likely unsustainable. This isn't to say you should switch off to the world's problems and become unconscious. Rather, it's a call to establish clear boundaries so you're not constantly taken out energetically. The planet needs you to be healthy both physically and emotionally. Well, quit making it so hard. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh, pardon me for a moment. Thank you. So instead of digesting the news or reaching for your phone as soon as you wake up, show up first to a nourishing practice, such as meditation, soul inquiry, deep breathing, or exercising in nature. Once you're in a state of grace and your inner well is full, you can face the day, the state of the world, and care for others. And at day's end, take an energetic shower by emptying out anything that's not yours to carry. You can pick it up the next morning if you so choose, but give yourself time and space to rejuvenate and rest. I don't know what else you can do except, like, momentarily just pull out, disengage. And so maybe this is the day's end spa-ing of yourself. Okay, so our next card is the Cosmic Heart. I get this card a lot. She's standing in front of like an open window or doorway, and she's got her back to it, so I'm wondering if she didn't just step through it. So, okay, let me again consult the manual, the Cosmic Heart. Wait, why are you not there? Oh. Okay. Whoops. It's in alphabetical order, but some of them are like aside for some reason. There it is. 48. 48 is 12. Yes, I just do that now. Excuse me. Okay. So the subtitle on the card is Devotion, Potency, Make Your Life a Moving Prayer. When you surrender to a state of devotion, you find yourself flowing with all of life. You're being called to refocus your attention deep within, to the intelligence of your own heart, to bow with deep reverence to your inner temple, to live your life in devotion to this place, to make your life one big moving prayer. Perhaps you felt a bit off kilter lately, sensing that the potency of why you're doing things has gotten a little watered down or weak. Perhaps you've forgotten what made you start doing them in the first place. If so, this is your call to take a moment and reconnect with the truth at the very center of your heart, to get back to the essence of what you're about, to devote your life to what you care most about, to turn your gaze deep, 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 deep. There are seasons for harvesting and seasons for sowing. Right now you're being called to plant your soul's seeds and sing to them with deep devotion, to feed them with the sweet waters of your own soul, to lose yourself in the potency of what it is that most expands your heart. To live your life according to what makes you come alive, rather than what everyone else thinks. To make your life one big moving prayer. So I always say that making your life a prayer, a moving prayer, is like rather than praying and asking for something, I think it's more about embodying the prayer, because why are you praying the prayer? Like, what are you looking to have access to for your life? Devotion, though, is a deep, 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 deep alignment and conversation with the universal source, the universal intelligence that is source, the source of all of us and everything. And we have it like all right there accessible to us, everything we need that we really we shouldn't want for anything. I think I'm getting close to what I'm trying to say here. I think it's about not thinking of the prayer as like your phone line to, I want this thing. And it may be that you need something, and that's a different prayer. And that's a different state of mind. And what you want, I'm discovering, is not what you want to use when you're praying, because it's not about you. It's never about just you. It's always about the collective. And the reason why we let go of things and have clear energy and have I didn't know I had this goal, but until now, but the goal to fully devote ourselves to, like, my passion, which I didn't really have before I started the whole awakening process. But it's like there's nothing to me now bigger than this idea of overcoming the darkness that our world has become over all of the time and coming through it the better for all of us, personally and collectively. And I feel like there's no bigger mission than, like, to free ourselves from the constraints and the darkness and even the evil that has managed to infiltrate so much of the beauty of our world and our lives. I mean, we're screaming and yelling to see, like, the files, and they're full of that kind of darkness, and it's so much more than the physical stuff. There's more going on. It's also inveined with, like, little capillaries of black goop. What is the word? It's got goop, black goop flowing through it, and we need to clear that because that's part of the whole body. Like, it's like it's like toenail fungus. It's down there, but it has the potential to infect and kind of mess up the whole body. So we shouldn't, like, forget about it because it's down at the other end, and we have a sock and a shoe over it. It's in there, and it's unhealthy, and it needs to be made healthy, and we just have to remain aware of it, and also treat it, which I think if it were toenail fungus, I would say oregano oil. Put it on you inside and out. But, when we're devoted, the impurities have a much harder time getting in and distracting us from our purpose. I don't know if all of that makes any sense for that, but I guess that's the end of it. Okay, last card is karmic relationships. And, oh my, let me find it. I know it says something about Orion energy, which I would also sort of equate with, like, Mars energy. Because it is like the energy of aggression and fighting, basically. Why can't I find the... Because I'm looking in the wrong spot. Why do I keep looking there? What good is it going to do me? It doesn't have the information I'm looking for. Neither does that. Where's the table? There it is. What am I looking for again? Karmic relationships. I was just right there. Oh, well, thank you for opening to the page. I really appreciate that. Okay. So the subtitles on this card. Oh, here's the card. So, two people on two different worlds, and I'm not sure, like, who, like, what it's referring to with the karmic stuff. But karmic does not have to be just a person that is, like, in your romantic arc that comes along and maybe messes things up temporarily or personally or permanently. And who are they messing it up for, actually, in that scenario? Well, that depends. We don't have really that scenario, but just that is what I think. I know my mind immediately first goes to that when you say karmic, but your soulmate isn't necessarily your romantic mate, and the karmic may come along and not be destructive and be supportive and helpful. And even if they're destructive, it could be supportive and helpful. We just are unable to see it in the moment, but later it'll come clear, because I know this is sounding just like what I was saying in the beginning that I had a problem with. But again, trust the plan is a real thing, I think. Like, no matter how ugly it looks and how wrong it looks, it could well be exactly the right thing to get past that same ugly wrongness to beautiful correctness. Let me just read what it says here. So the subtitles are Orion energy, polarity. Well, I definitely get the polarity here. The two worlds look very similar, as do the two figures. Look at the end. Also, what? I don't know this constellation, but look at how bright those stars are. Like, each karmic has a star, seems like. You know, I'm just going to interrupt myself. Last night, I saw a completely different constellation. I think it was in Australia, and this has not happened looking at North American constellations like ever. There's just been like, oh, that's pretty, but it's like cold, distant, dark. I was looking at these constellations through a light pollution less sky, or at a light pollution less sky, and I was having those throbbings that I was just talking about earlier that are just like in my body, all bong bong, and they're like all up and down my limbs, like I can feel them in my limbs mainly. So I was looking at that and I was like, wow, what's that about? So I need to find out what those constellations are. So yes, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, that coming in and flipping the tables that ends up like fixing stuff or bringing clarity, conflict. I mean, they arise all the time. We have several in place now, and underlying the conflict, there's reasoning that no one is really talking about. And then it just sounds crazy when you do, because no one is really talking about it. No one ever talks about it. People are not really allowed to. And when they have, in the past, they've come to weird ends or disappearances and, you know, been ruined socially and professionally. And it's like, the visitors tell us that all of that stuff is part of our history, but it's also could be a part of our active present if we are allowed to have access to it. And this goes for like medical advances and other technological advances, and a lot of stuff that has been held back because money, I guess. Like, somehow futuristic progress, unless it's like occupying Mars or whatever, which, you know, maybe sometime in the future. I know I don't care about it. But yeah, it's... I just lost my train of thought. Dang it. But yeah, we have conflict. We have people... I don't need to explain. America, look it up. Or the United States, look it up. Conflict. Orion energy. We got it in spades. Okay. Here is what the book says about the Karmic Relationships card. The constellation Orion is thought by many to have been a place of great polarity and eventual unity. Oh, so there's more to the Orion energy than the warring energy. Some believe that many starseeds who were part of this cosmic history are incarnate on Earth now and are playing out karmic relationships from Orion times. Perhaps you're one of them. Maybe on the unity end. I don't want to be fighting with people, I can tell you that. I don't even want to argue. I don't even want to debate. Even when I was a kid, like, debate class was suggested, and I was like, no, I do not. I do not want to argue with people. It's not. I just don't have that energy. Anyway, it's not about me. Okay, so polarity causes conflict and highlights separation. How you're so polar that you're not even separated by the poles on your own world. You're so far apart, you're separated on the poles of another world, and vice versa. That seems messy. That seems messy. Okay. Polarity causes conflict and highlights separation. However, because of this, conflict can also result in unity and growth. I mean, that is like a given. After a war, you gotta, like, come together to put stuff back together. And was whatever you were, like, adversarial about worth all of this? I was hoping that we learned that we don't want to go through that type of thing again, but nope. We're still doing it. Still hitting ourselves, still punching ourselves in the face. Yeah, I shouldn't, like, it's what's supposed to be happening. That's the best I can do. I don't like it, but it's supposed to be happening. Too many misunderstandings are caused when we don't open our heart and mind and see things from a different point of view. From the other person's point of view. Like, we really don't take a lot of steps in other people's shoes. And we don't want to because of our beliefs and prejudices that we have put upon ourselves. More punching ourselves. What good does it do? It would be just easier for everybody if we just didn't have things and problems against each other and things wrong. Like, wrong is never fun. It's not good. Why do we always pursue it? Stop. Bad us. When we go into reactive second-guessing mode, instead of gathering the courage to open our heart, we should admit we may have reacted because of our own woundings, and then find mutual ground. Well, that's true. Like, on the best day or the worst day, I think I would not want to go into a fight or a conflict based on my personal feelings or even my personal lived experience. Like, if it's gonna, like, lead to a conflict, I'm gonna shut the hell up, because I don't want that whole, like, my little stupid thing, I don't want it to start, like, a war. That's crazy. That's, that's you affecting a whole bunch of other people you don't even know and bringing all kinds of confusion and destruction and delusion and disappointment and just not great stuff into people's lives. Although we may have committed at a prior time to do this, and it is necessary that the intention is completed because it's part of a larger series of events, or just, I don't even know, what is the word? What is the word? The larger something going on that involves all of us collectively. Let me go back to what I was reading. When we go into reactive second-guessing mode, instead of gathering the courage to open our heart, we should admit that we may have reacted because of our woundings, and then find mutual ground. We're all innocent children looking to be seen, understood, and cherished. It's much harder to grow closer through conflict than it is to grow further apart. That is, I agree. And yet that's the invitation of conflict. It's easy to react and take things personally. Oh my God, it's so easy. It's ridiculous. Like, it is so hard for us to... Do you know how much nicer it would be if we were just nicer to each other? And we just accepted, like... If we accepted, like, loving each other the way we so readily accept hating each other and finding fault with each other... I mean, we don't think about it, but maybe we should. Because we just, like, hey, we keep doing the same thing over and over that basically hurts all of us. And then, you know, things have to be picked up and put back together, and relations have to try to be repaired. And that is not the root. I mean, eventually, when, like, every other option has been fought out and fought over, and you're just exhausted and there's nothing left but rubble, we shouldn't have to go that far to decide, like, hey, it's easier if we just sort of, like, give each other a break and help each other and share stuff instead of hoarding stuff and making things bad. Like, sorry, let me just jump down off of the soapbox. Okay, It's through relationships that we grow the most. How can you soften your heart and drop your defenses enough to see things from a different point of view? How can you see the innocence of all involved? How can you learn to see the similarities rather than the differences? Well, as to the first question, how can you soften your heart and drop your defenses enough to see things from a different point of view? That is the kind of thing that sneaks up on people. Like, you maybe be watching something, like a show or a movie or reading a book, or even see it play out in real life, that necessity. Okay, here's an example. Jake Lang, who is this guy that, I guess he's like a racist. I don't want to just... He's a young man, and he's a influencer. I think he's he might be like a right-wing influencer that's put out there. But he was the one that went to a daycare center in Minnesota and apparently didn't understand why it was locked up, and, you know, banging on the door and yelling to see the children. That is exactly what he was doing, and he had a camera too, and so all of those were the reason why he was unable to just walk in, because it's protection for all of those people's kids. They don't know who you are, they don't know what your intention is, and then you're out there saying things that sound inflammatory to the people on the inside and probably scary. And so there's been a lot of discussion about, like, was his reporting real? But I saw it and I thought, oh, he's the new Project Veritas type guy. Yay. We really need one of those. And so he then, a few weeks later now, decided to have a demonstration in Minnesota somewhere, and made a big deal of it, went online, tried to call all these people, and on the day, a bunch of protesters showed up, and that was him and 5 other people that showed up for his anti-Somali racist bash. And then he ended up getting surrounded, I guess, by the crowd and chased. I don't think anybody got a hold of him and, like, actually physically hurt him, but he came across a car of black people who he has had nothing nice to say about, Somali or not, I guess, and just leapt into their car, and the guy let him stay in the car because he thought he was a protester getting chased by, like, ICE supporters. And then there was a lot of talk in, I guess, like, the black community about, like, why did you help this guy? What the hell's the matter with you? But I don't think they knew. I think they thought he was running from, he was like a anti-ICE protester running from ICE didn't realize who the guy was. And so there was a lot of like, oh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't let him in my car. And it's like, we make these snap decisions. When will we learn that we have to, okay, we see this online. It's fresh. It just came out. We have to wait until actual information about what happened came out instead of jumping to conclusions and making assumptions. So for a while, the poor guy with the car was catching a lot of heat from the community. But, then it came out like what the mistake was. But I think the overarching point that everybody missed is that the guy helped this other guy, and that the guy ran to someone he'd been talking mass crap about, their whole community, their whole race, basically. It was like, help me, I need you. And the guy did. He didn't ask questions. He just let him in. He had his assumptions, but the point is, he didn't ask questions. He just let him in because he saw he was being chased by an angry mob. And that was the right thing to do, regardless of who Jake Lang is and whatever the mistake was. Like, that is probably the main thing. The saving grace, if you will, of that situation. Lang may feel differently about what the saving grace was, but that's my view. Somebody along the line just did the right thing in the moment. And I guess that's a lesson for me. All of this reading has been like, I just need to get it together and get over my things that I'm like holding on to so hard. And it has always been a lesson. Like, even before I started, I understood that. But getting there and getting to be okay with it, that's not so easily done. I feel like I'm getting closer to the stage of acceptance that I was in before yesterday. And like, every day something will come along to try to like make me all crazy, make me angry, upset me. Little mishaps will happen throughout the day. I don't know if this is happening to everyone else. And I don't think it's because I'm doing something bad and making something happen to me karmically. I think what it is just opportunities to tune our alignment, to tune ourselves. I guess we have to do it daily, many, many, many times a day, to the changing energies. And there's always some like mischievous little imp of an energy going, ha ha, let me give you a little test and see if you'll pass it. You're not going to get set back. You may have to repeat the lesson, but I think that's all it is. I think that's what I was experiencing. I am assuming other people are too. All I can say is hang in there. I'm doing my best. And I'm sure so are you. Thank you and good night.